I opened the garage door with a smile still lingering on my lips, the kind of smile you get after a stolen lunch, secret kisses, a man whispering that he wants you again tonight. It should have been an ordinary day of lies. Except my husband was sitting at the kitchen table. Christopher never comes home this early. Never. I froze with my purse in my hand and Michael right behind me. My voice came out thin and stupid. "Chris, what are you doing home?" He didn't shout. He didn't cry. He just stared, cold, patient, like he already knew. And that terrified me more than any anger ever could. Michael shifted beside me, almost hiding behind me even though he was taller. His new attorney confidence evaporated. I tried to keep my breathing normal. Chris looked exactly like he did every day until I noticed something different. A quiet rage sitting there with him. I tried again, stronger this time. "I mean, it's only 3:30. I live here." His voice hit me like a slap. Then that crooked smirk, the one he uses when he's done tolerating people. I wished he had screamed instead. Michael stepped forward, hand extended. "Mr. Harrington." "Chris, I'm Michael Browner." Chris didn't even look at his hand. "I know exactly who and what you are." I felt heat rush to my cheeks. I had never seen Chris dismiss someone like that, not even when drunk, not even when furious. Michael's hand dropped awkwardly. "Why are you talking to him like that?" I snapped. It came out more defensive than I wanted. Chris's gaze cut into me. "Last time someone called you Angie, you threatened to cut his balls off. Funny how you let this guy call you Ong." I wanted to disappear. Michael's jaw clenched. I heard his swallow from behind me. Chris stood slowly, too calmly. "Let's talk. I'll make drinks." That wasn't an offer. That was strategy. As soon as he stepped out of the kitchen, I turned toward Michael. "Oh God, something is wrong." "He knows something. Don't say anything stupid. Just follow my lead." I'd barely finished whispering when Chris returned, handing me a glass of my favorite Merlot, something I usually found romantic. Tonight it tasted like poison. He sat opposite us, bourbon in hand, eyes locked on me. Michael raised his beer glass, sniffed it thoughtfully. "This amber ale is complex." "What is it?" "Pabst Blue Ribbon." Michael blinked. I blinked. Chris laughed, like this was a comedy show. "You're such an asshole." I burst. "We came home to talk calmly, and you're... Oh, now I'm disgusting?" He raised his brows. "Better or worse than what you've been doing for the last 6 weeks?" My blood froze. "Chris, what are you talking about?" He leaned forward. "Middlewoods Park. Email. Pictures." It felt like the floor tilted. Someone from work had warned him. My pulse hammered in my ears. He asked it so casually, like he was asking about dinner. "So, you want a divorce?" "No." The word ripped out of me. I sat forward, desperate. "Chris, I love you. Michael is just a fling," he spat. "Something you'll get out of your system?" His smile twisted. "A temporary hobby?" It sounded so cruel when he said it. But wasn't that exactly what I'd planned? "I'm sorry," I whispered. "This has never happened before. And it will never." "Your promises mean nothing." He cut me off like my words were noise. Then he said something so vicious it barely sounded like him. "For all I know, this is your 51st affair." My heart cracked. This was the man who adored me, who put me on a pedestal for 28 years, now calling me cheap. Michael suddenly spoke, using that calm lawyer tone. "You have built a life together. Don't throw it away based on one mistake. The prenuptial agreement won't." Chris laughed again, but darker. "You think I depend on a flimsy paper?" He slammed a second folder on the table. "You want to know what I have? Proof. Audio. Photos. Texts." Michael paled. I couldn't breathe. I tried to make him understand. "Please, Chris, after the weekend, I promise I will end everything with." His voice suddenly softened. "That was the worst part. So, not only did you share your body with him." His eyes burned. "You're also giving him our New York weekend?" I flinched. "Our tradition 4 times a year, every year, since marriage. Broadway plays, wine nights, silly pictures in Times Square." He remembered every detail. I had broken every memory. I was terrified to look at him. Angie, he asked quietly, what happened to you? I didn't have an answer, because I didn't fully know. He stood, filled his bourbon again without asking us. He wasn't even pretending anymore. When he returned, Michael, trying to be brave, reached for my hand. I let him touch me. Chris noticed. Of course he did. He sat down, calm again, the kind of calm that precedes disaster. I'd like 30 minutes, he said. You've had your turn. Now it's mine. He picked up the TV remote. My heart stuttered. Zoom screen connected. 2 lawyers appeared. Peter and Lou, Chris said, my attorneys. Michael's fingers tightened painfully around mine. Lou's voice was brutal. Mrs. Harrington, divorce papers have been filed. You will be served by Monday. I choked on air. Then, the prenup is up to date and fully enforceable. All joint financial accounts are frozen. You are evicted. You get 30 days to collect your belongings. No alimony. No second chances. Everything. Gone. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. The screen turned black. Chris didn't even blink. No. I whispered. Chris, please. He ignored me. Another Zoom call lit the screen. It was my boss. Angela, he sighed, I expected better from you. Your position here is terminated. You may accept a transfer to Albany within 30 days or resign. My throat burned. 28 years of career, destroyed in 2 minutes. Michael looked like a ghost. Third Zoom. A woman's face, beautiful, blonde. Michael's wife. I didn't understand. Michael whispered, Cynthia? She was ice. I'm filing for divorce. Send your things somewhere else. You're not welcome in our home. You've done this before, and you'll do it again. She listed names. Women from my own office. Each one a dagger. I was just the latest fool. The screen went black again. Michael whispered, Angela, I snatched my hand back. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to scream. I wanted to kill him. Chris leaned toward me. You lied to me, he said. Now you know how it feels. I broke. I sobbed into my hands. He didn't comfort me. He watched. Then the last Zoom. The one that completely destroyed me. My daughter. Kelly. Her voice cracked when she saw me. I love you, Dad, she said first. Why? I screamed. Why would you show her this? She stared at me with hatred I never knew she could feel. You disgust me, Mom. I reached out, she recoiled. I'm pregnant, she said coldly. A baby girl. And you're not invited to the celebration. I don't want my daughter around lies and filth. The black screen felt like a coffin closing. I had lost everything. My husband. My job. My respect. My child. All because I wanted excitement. Chris stood up, tucking something into his waistband, a gun. I didn't even know we owned one. His voice was quiet. Too quiet. I'll be gone for dinner. 2 hours. When I return, you won't be in this house. Then he looked at Michael. You have 3 days to leave this state. Stay longer, and I'll make sure you regret it physically. He walked to the door. Paused. Looked back at us, broken wife and pathetic lover, and said, Enjoy New York. It's supposed to be a beautiful weekend. Door slammed. Silence detonated. My world had ended. And somehow, I wasn't done falling. The door slammed, and the quiet that followed wasn't peaceful. It was a verdict. Michael sank into the sofa, wiping sweat from his forehead like someone escaping a crime scene, except we were the criminals, and judgment had just been delivered. I couldn't move. Tears dripped onto my blouse, the one I'd unbuttoned earlier for him. That felt like another lifetime. My voice came out broken. Michael, what do we do? He didn't answer. He couldn't. The confident attorney who used to whisper praises about my body was now just a man trapped in consequences. I stood. My legs barely worked. I looked around the living room. Photos of our vacations, family portraits, plaques from Chris's career. This wasn't just a house. It was my life, shattered at my feet. My stomach twisted with panic. I can't lose all this. He won't, he can't. Michael finally spoke. We need to call someone. Legal help. He said it like a lawyer. But his eyes? They were pure fear. You lied to me, I snapped. It wasn't fair, maybe. But I needed someone to blame other than myself. He dropped his head. I know. I wanted to tell him to go. Leave. Defend himself. Save what little dignity remained. But I was too scared to be alone. I brushed past him and ran upstairs. My closet stared at me. Rows of clothes, purses, jewelry. Items I'd once felt proud wearing. Now, they just looked like evidence of everything I was about to lose. My phone buzzed. I snatched it, hoping, praying it was Chris texting. Come upstairs. Let's talk. But no. It was my daughter. Kelly. I meant every word. I dropped the phone like it burned me. My chest hurt. A sharp, stabbing pain like heartbreak had teeth. I stumbled into the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror. Who was this woman? Wrinkled mascara. A trembling mouth. Eyes swollen with guilt. A stranger. I pressed both hands to the counter, breathing hard. I just wanted to feel alive, I whispered. A pathetic excuse. Even to myself. I wiped my tears aggressively, trying to erase the shame. It wasn't working. Downstairs, I heard Michael pacing, muttering curses. I couldn't face him yet. I needed air. I opened the window, the one overlooking the front driveway. Chris's car was gone, but something else caught my eye. A black SUV idling across the street. Windows tinted. Engine running. Watching. My blood turned cold. Chris had mentioned a private investigator. Were they still watching? Recording? Gathering more? I slammed the window shut. Michael shouted up the stairs, Angela, we need to leave before he comes back. No, I yelled back. My voice cracked. He said I have a week. Michael marched up to me, grabbing my shoulders. You saw what he did in 1 hour. Do you seriously think he'll give you a week? He shook his head. He's planning something worse. I yanked myself away. Don't touch me. He stared at me like I had betrayed him now. I walked to the bed and sat, numb. I ruined everything, I whispered. Michael sat beside me, reaching for my hand again. This time, I let him. You didn't ruin everything, he said softly. You made a mistake. A bad one. But you can fix it. I laughed bitterly. Fix it? My daughter hates me. My husband, he doesn't even feel anymore. He just executed a plan. Michael swallowed hard. He'll get over it. No, I said. He loved me too much to forgive me. Michael flinched. We sat in silence until headlights flashed through the window. A car pulled into the driveway. Not Chris's. Michael stood immediately. Who is that? I ran downstairs to the window. A man in a gray suit stepped out, carrying a clipboard. Michael cursed. Process server. We froze. He knocked. Hard. Again and again. Angela Harrington. Michael Browner. Open the door. I felt like I was being hunted. Michael whispered. We don't have to accept it yet. If no one opens, the delay's serving. I backed away from the door. My heartbeat echoed in my skull. The knocking stopped. Finally, footsteps down the porch. Car door. Engine fading. I collapsed onto the floor, shaking. Michael knelt beside me. It's okay. He's gone. No, I whispered. He's just warming up. The clock ticked slower, like time was torturing us. Michael checked his phone. I'm going to find a hotel, he said. I'll be back in the morning. We can talk to a lawyer together. He stood and walked toward the door. I didn't stop him. Halfway through turning the knob, he looked back. Angela, despite everything, I did fall for you. Voice soft, a dying confession. I didn't respond. He left. And then, silence. Real silence. The kind that feels like a grave. I sat there until my legs went numb. Then something inside me cracked. I bolted up the stairs, into Chris's office. The room smelled like his cologne. Deep, familiar, faithful. I opened drawers, files, anything that made noise. I found the gun holster, empty. Proof he wasn't bluffing earlier. Then I found something worse. A USB drive labeled Insurance. I plugged it into his computer. For the first time that night, I screamed.
Pictures of me.
Videos. Michael's hands on me. My lips on him. Private investigator footage. Every sin captured in perfect clarity. There were recordings of my laughter with Michael. Texts printed in huge fonts. I can't wait for New York with you. I love what you do to me. Audio clips of kissing. Breathing. Moaning. My lungs stopped working. I ripped the USB out and threw it across the room. Tears came again, heavier than before. I slid to the floor, curling into myself. The house felt colder than winter. Chris had been seeing a therapist, planning every step, preparing every blow. And I had been too busy sneaking around, feeding lust, ignoring guilt. He loved me so hard I never noticed. When that love turned into hate, I crawled back to our bedroom, dragging myself like a dying animal. I pulled one of his shirts from the hamper, clutching it tight, inhaling him. And I cried until my throat burned. The clock hit midnight. Then 1. Then 2. When headlights appeared again, I didn't move. The front door opened.
Chris walked in.
Quiet. Controlled. I heard his shoes on the stairs.
Slow.
Unhurried. He stopped at the bedroom doorway. I didn't look up. He stood there for a long moment, long enough for me to feel his gaze cut straight through me. Then he said one sentence. Only one.
His voice was calm. Too calm.
Pack your things tomorrow. You're done here. Footsteps again. His door closing. Silence. I lay there on the carpet, realizing the truth. I wasn't his wife anymore. I was a ghost, trapped in the ruins of a life I destroyed. And tomorrow, he would bury me. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I lay there on the bedroom floor, clutching one of Chris's shirts like it could hold me together when my own mind couldn't. My eyes were too dry to cry, but my chest still hurt like tears were trapped beneath my ribs. When sunlight crawled through the blinds, I realized something terrifying. My marriage was already dead. Morning was just here to show me the body. I stood slowly, legs shaking. Time didn't feel real. But one sentence kept replaying in my head. Pack your things tomorrow. You're done here. I opened the closet. My own clothes felt like theft. Every dress I pulled out whispered, "This life is no longer yours." I shoved everything into suitcases, messily, without care. Panic replacing order. Chris's footsteps moved downstairs, calm as always. That calmness was worse than rage. By the time I filled the third suitcase, my mind cracked again. I sat on the bed, our bed, hugging my knees. The room smelled like him, like loyalty, like everything I threw away. My phone buzzed. "Michael, I'm outside. We need to talk." My heart dropped. Why had he come back? Before I could respond, I heard pounding on the front door.
Loud.
Reckless. "Angela, let me in." Chris opened the door, not quickly, not angrily, slowly, like a man welcoming a challenge. Michael barreled inside anyway. "We need to get out of here," he insisted, grabbing my arm like he owned me. "Pack the rest later. Come now." Chris's voice sliced through the room. "Take your hand off her." Michael turned, puffing up like he was going to fight. "Or what? You'll fire me again?"
He scoffed.
"Or show more videos. We can fight those in court. I'll win." Chris's hand slipped behind his back, and the gun appeared. Michael froze. The house froze. Even oxygen froze. Chris didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten again. He just stared. That was enough. Michael's bravado shattered. "Angela, please," he whispered, stepping away. I didn't move. Couldn't move. Chris pointed to the door. 3 days, Browner." "That's what I said. You've already wasted one night." Michael swallowed, chest heaving. But he walked. Out the door. No goodbye. Only fear. When the door shut again, I expected Chris to yell. To unleash everything he'd been holding. But he just turned away. As if I was already invisible. He walked into the kitchen. Made himself breakfast. Eggs frying, coffee brewing. Ordinary sounds from a life that no longer included me. I wiped my eyes and dragged my suitcases into the hallway. My fingertips left sweat marks on the handles. Chris sat at the counter eating, fork scraping plate, calm, tidy, unmoved. I stood there like a stranger waiting for instructions.
He didn't look at me.
He didn't speak. Just placed a plain envelope on the counter and slid it toward me.
Keys, he said.
I opened it. House keys. Car key. And the wedding ring I had left on the nightstand. I hadn't even noticed he picked it up. My throat tightened painfully. You're giving me the car? I asked, stupidly. No, he replied. You're handing it back when you're done collecting your things. I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg. But my voice was lost somewhere with the woman I used to be. He finally looked up, the first time that morning. His eyes weren't angry anymore. That was worse. They were empty. You have 30 minutes, he said. After that, you call your friend. You go to his place. You never come back here again. My chest burned. He said like Michael was already dead. I dragged the suitcases out to the driveway. The black SUV was gone. The street looked normal. As if the world didn't know. I had ruined mine. Halfway back up the stairs for the last suitcase, my phone buzzed again.
Kelly.
Don't show up at my house. Don't call. Give me space.
Space.
My own daughter wanted distance from me like poison. I sank into the stairwell and buried my face in my knees. Everything inside me screamed, go to her. Fall at her feet. Beg forgiveness. But I knew I'd only push her farther away. I stayed still. Quiet.
Small.
Finally, I stood, wiped my face, and carried the last suitcase to the car. Chris watched from the doorway. Not with love. Not with hate. Just relief. Like someone removing garbage. I closed the trunk. That sound, the thunk of the lid, felt like a coffin closing. He didn't speak again. I walked toward him, desperate for one final moment. Chris, please. I was lonely. I made a mistake. I can fix. No, he cut me off. You took loneliness. You chose him. I shook my head violently. I chose wrong. I see that now. You saw it before too, he said quietly. You just didn't care. Those words hurt more than anything Michael ever touched. You will remember all of this, he continued. Every minute, every choice, every betrayal. His face hardened into something final. And I'll remember someone who used to be my wife. The air left my lungs. I stepped toward him, but he stepped back.
Go, he said.
Only one word. But it smashed me. I walked to the car door. My hand shook so badly, the keys jingled. Then, I turned back one last time. Chris, do you hate me?
He stared at me a long time.
No, he finally said. But I don't love you anymore either. My heart stopped. I just feel nothing, he finished. Nothing. The one man who had loved me with his entire soul now felt nothing. I nodded weakly. Tears blurred everything.
He went inside.
Door closing softly. Gentle. Cruel. I stood in the driveway, staring at the house. Our home, knowing I had burned it all. For a thrill that lasted maybe a few weeks. When I finally got into the car, my hands were trembling so hard I had to steady myself on the steering wheel before reversing. I drove away, with my entire life packed into a trunk, and my future reduced to ash. Michael texted again. Come to my place. We can figure this out. We can start over. Start over? With what? No job. No family. No reputation. And him? A man who loved conquering, not committing. I ignored the message. Instead, I pulled over at the first empty parking lot and cried into the steering wheel, loud, ugly animal cries. People walked past. They didn't stop. Why would they? I had become exactly what Chris's eyes said I was. A stranger.
A mistake.
A ghost. I finally whispered to myself, I deserve this. Not because I cheated, but because I didn't understand what I already had. Until I destroyed it. I sat there until the sun began to set, watching the sky burn orange, like the world was mocking the wreckage inside me. Then my phone buzzed one more time. Not Michael. Not Kelly.
Chris.
Just 2 words. Do not contact me. This time, the tears didn't fall. There was no energy left. Only the hollow silence of a woman who threw away her home for a man who didn't stay, and a thrill that didn't last, and a love she'll never get back. I closed my eyes, breathed in, and let the loneliness finally swallow me whole.